The Sun's origin hype train just started. It's going strong, kind of. Oda Nobunaga seems to be struggling. Already day one, people are asking for fan patches for him in competitive 1v1. And he's struggling. His concept is amazing. He's a battle general, so he leads these two sidekicks that have 6 health each. So you would think that would be enough to be beefy, living, but they die. And once they die, he has this printed 5 that gains him more cards in 1v1. It's not as good, just to be drawing cards and not doing damage. And he has a momentous shift, which, cool. Unfortunately, people are worried about him in 1v1. You should try him in 2v2. If you don't know his ability already, it's called Master Strategist. Other friendly fighters in Oda Nobunaga's zone add +1 to the value of their combat cards. So this includes his Honor Guard, which means they have pretty big swings if you look through the deck. But more importantly, in 2v2, it buffs your teammate. That is so cool. It is game-changing. It is potentially game-breaking. I don't know, but I'm sure it's going to be very nasty and meta-relevant in the 2v2 world. And I don't want to forget, but he's also going to be very good in UMA. Not a UMA expert. I'm going to leave that up to Darkblade. Oh, we're going to get into his cards. Just give me a second. But first, we have to talk about this ability, because the ability is everything in 2v2. It's literally everything. So first thing I want you to think about are all these cards in the Marvel decks specifically, where you have to win combat. So usually in the Marvel sets, there are like 4s. A 4 is blockable, right? You can use a max value defense. You can block whatever 4 they throw at and prevent them from winning combat to stop the effect, or feint and take 2 damage, which 2 damage hurts, but it's not making you cry. Oda Nobunaga makes you cry because it turns that 4 into a 5. So most times, whatever combat they needed to win, these Marvel characters and some other characters in the game as well, they win combat and get to pull off their effects. Not for free, but they get to do it a lot more often. Luke Cage is still standing, is now a 5, and it can be done from range. So you can feint it, but you're taking 3 damage. 3 damage is a lot more than 2 damage in this game. My favorite buff to a win combat card is cat-like reflexes, because it makes Black Panther actually have like a movement effect in one of his cards that's actually like usable. That's really cute and it's really fun. So next we're going to talk about the +2 fighters. Fighters like Golden Bat get to throw out an 8 pretty regularly now. Khonshu is now scarier. Mr. Knight is now Luke Cage, kind of. Small Alice becomes Luke Cage. Big Alice is even bigger. And that's kind of something that you could probably think of on your own. Like strong characters become stronger. Yeah, that's really nice. And here's the combination I'm maybe most afraid of. Doctor Strange now has a Rings of Ragador that is a print 5. So he's going to win combat, so he's going to heal. And Oda Nobunaga's weakness is that when his Honor Guard dies, he becomes less useful. Well, what if he had 2 more bodies that can infinitely recur stuff, heal his Honor Guard, and when the Honor Guard dies, still has the ability to do massive amounts of damage and potentially fatigue in 2v2, which doesn't really happen as much. That sounds stressful. That's why he's going to be an auto ban. That's why Doctor Strange is already an auto ban, because Rings of Ragador is already too strong. And don't worry, we're going to talk about Luke Cage, because I know Luke Cage in 2v2, and he just seems to be the perfect fit other than Doctor Strange for Oda. I may or may not have blocked with the 4 value regroup with Luke Cage in 1 combat, draw 2 cards, and then attacked with a big ol' 7. It's so awesome. I love it. I think there are some characters that benefit more from Oda's ability than others, but every character does get something from this ability. They do just automatically become better just from this ability. I think there's plenty of characters in this game that if you sat long enough, you would realize, okay, this character that's already really, really good at 2v2 is now even crazier, like T-Rex or Bigfoot, 7 log. Woo! Like that is really, 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 really good. But one of the most fun parts about Oda's ability are the characters that just didn't seem to have like enough damage in 2v2 or 1v1, or they didn't have like good enough defenses to live long enough. And one of those characters that is good in 2v2, by the way, but just not super high tier, is Robin Hood. Robin Hood has 4s now. You got to watch out for homie who has 4s and is hopping away and just constantly attacking you. He has the card draw. He already had that. But now he's living. And highway robbery is now at 3. He has a lot of highway robberies, and he's doing a shit ton of auto damage. He also has a hunter's eye that is now a 6. So he just is maybe one of the greatest benefactors from this ability, because he goes from a really good character to a incredible high tier character. You're probably wondering to yourself, is it enough that Oda can add +1 to his teammates' combat? And the answer is yes, but he also has some really, really good cards for 2v2 in his deck. So Pragmatism, all right, it's all right. I mean, I think the idea is you try to kill Oda first in 2v2, right? Because he buffs everybody. So he's like this incredible support character, but I mean, he's got this card, so he's going to be okay. And then he's got probably Luke Cage protecting him. So, I mean, try. Or maybe a big old T-Rex is just going to attack you if you attack him. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be okay anymore. Student of War. This card is really, really good in 2v2 because it's a 5, which is nice. So you might do some damage. That, where it was pretty good in 1v1. Now you kind of sometimes would fucking just kill a sidekick for that doesn't defend and just get 5 cards. So because you're going to be attacked all the time, they're going to try to kill you all the time, and twice as much because they have teammates. And it's going to be good to get your hand back up. Spring the Trap. Wow, is this card crazy in 2v2. So your fighter may swap spaces with an adjacent friendly fighter. If they do, the other fighter is now the defender. After combat, deal 1 damage to the opposing fighter. So there's a lot of characters that don't mind taking damage, right? Like Annie Christmas would love to swap with Oda or with the Honor Guard and just take all that damage for you. Annie obviously becomes a lot scarier with Oda. But the character that I just can't stop thinking about because he's good looking and one of my favorite characters in 2v2 is Luke Cage. So Luke Cage has an ability, you might know about it, where he gets +2 defense, right? So if you go to Spring the Trap, it's now a 4, right? Because he is now the defender, so his ability activates. And if you're in Oda's zone, which why aren't you if you're not, this becomes a 5. So Spring the Trap with Luke Cage is a 5 value block that deals 1 damage. It's disgusting. It should be illegal, but it's really good instead. So I love playing Luke Cage in 2v2. He's already one of the best in 2v2, in my opinion. Obviously you could switch with She-Hulk. She doesn't mind taking the damage, or a giant fucking T-Rex. That doesn't hurt either. And deal 1 damage. How dare you attack Oda Nobunaga? How dare you attack the Honor Guard? Now you have to fight my big boy. Whatever that may be. I personally think Oda isn't strong enough on his own to like have like another support character. I think he typically wants a character like a Luke Cage, like someone who can defend him, right? Or even like a Muldoon, someone that can hide him and punish people for attacking him. So yeah, this card is just crazy if you want to switch him out with someone who they didn't want to try to fight in the first place, especially if they were a melee fighter. Reinforce. Wow. This card is cool. So choose 2 different effects. Each friendly fighter recovers 1 health. So let's say Doctor Strange isn't healing enough for whatever reason. Just play this card. If you play this card, then you can heal even more. And you can heal Doctor Strange and Wong. So, or a character that would like to be healed, Luke Cage, and you draw 2 cards, which is incredible in 2v2. This is like a 2v2 card, and gaining action could be good for running the fuck away. You know, whatever you need to do. Demon King of the Sixth Heaven. I don't think this card is that great personally in 1v1. I think you could do some damage, you know, to a lot of 1 health sidekicks. That's cool. I think it's better in 2v2. If you're sleeping on this card, you're going to take a lot of damage because all your homies could be flanked. Or a lot of your homies could be flanked and take a good bit of damage. I still think I'd use it for the boost 3. But still very strong. And the last thing I want to talk about are cards that do not benefit from this ability. And those are combat cards where you want to lose combat. So confront any demon or god becomes a 4. Uh-oh. You might be winning some combat sometimes. So yeah, you're going to have to be more careful with that card because you might do 1 damage accidentally or, you might defend really well accidentally. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Or Black Widow's fake out like as a 2. Hope they don't use regroup. That would stink. And you don't get to do what you want to do. You just do 1 damage, which isn't the worst thing in the world, right? You won combat, woohoo! But maybe it's not what you were going for. So you have to be careful with that. Oh my god, I'm so not a real Unmatched player. Who's the Buffy character that needs to lose combat? I think that's Angel. Yeah, Angel is just thinking a bit more. So, it is a funny thing that does happen with Oda's ability, but I don't think it like makes Black Widow worse. I think her cards just become better for the most part, so good enough. I think sooner or later we're going to figure out characters that benefit less from this ability, but I think at the end of the day they're going to become better. There are some things that just don't get better, like Black Widow's schemes, for instance. They don't do more auto damage, it's just the same amount, or like Sherlock's auto damage, or Invisible Man, just stuff like that. I mean, it's everything else gets better for the most part. So, I mean, you still want the buff, but it is funny to see what doesn't get buffed now when you think about everything being better. Speaking of schemes, one of the more interesting non-buffs that happen is 3 wishes. If you turn every card of yours into a 4, it says the value cannot be changed. So does Master Strategist change it anyways? Or it cannot be changed? So you can't. It cannot be changed. So it seems like it doesn't buff that, which I think, and in 2v2, the discard wish is still incredibly valuable anyways. So you're probably just going to use that, but I just thought that was interesting. So overall, I think Oda is maybe a little too strong for 2v2. I think they had that in mind, like, dude, he's going to be sick in 2v2, but I think he's just going to kind of be auto banned. I might be wrong. Like, maybe you can take advantage of the honor guards not having feint, and then you can just do crazy area of effect damage. But I mean, I think that the buff is still so crazy that it won't matter. Like, I think even if he loses his honor guard, if he has the right teammate, they'll still win. So it's interesting. We'll see how this develops. If you want to know more about 2v2, subscribe. I like this set a lot, but I also have just a different perspective than most 1v1 competitive players. Obviously, I think in a completely different way. Tomoe is actually really, really good in 2v2, but I haven't had enough chances to play her in 2v2, but so far, so fun. All right, thanks guys for watching. You have a great rest of your day.